To answer some of
Here's the
questions
police
you may
chief.
have.
Let's listen for the latest.
Criminal investigation. We are limited as to some of the details that we can give out to you for obvious reasons. First, let it be stated that I've told you the number of deceased in the building, at the hospital, and at the secondary crime scene. It's our policy and protocol that we have to establish positive identification of those victims. That is a time-consuming process. That's something that's going to take a great deal of time. The medical examiner has already arrived in the scene. He's going to work very closely with us to expedite that and get that done as efficiently as possible. As I told you, the families have been assigned a trooper or an officer as a line of communication. That was done specifically to ensure the families that they have constant communication with this ongoing investigation, and they won't have to sit and watch television news or anything else. They will be the first to know any of the progress that's made as this investigation continues on. As I stated earlier, the assets that were utilized initially was certainly when the call came in, Newtown Police Department immediately responded and immediately called for help. Surrounding local agencies sent officers, and the Connecticut State Police sent all off-duty and on-duty troopers to respond so that they could immediately gain access to that building and begin that search process that I alluded to before. We had the State Police tactical team. We had canine teams out here. We certainly had Trooper 1 in the air, and it was probably to keep some of your helicopters away, quite frankly. But we had every possible asset came out to this scene the minute that this alarm came in, or this call came in. And it was certainly to do everything we could to protect certainly life and property. The community has been outstanding in supporting this effort. As you can see, you've taken over their park, and they're showing up. They're offering condolences. They're doing everything they possibly can to support the victims, the victims' families of this horrific tragedies. The FBI crisis management team is offered to respond. Is going to respond here tomorrow to assist in crisis management, to assist not only with the families and the family members, but with all the first responders, the police, fire, EMS, all working at what I described before as a very horrific and difficult scene. Certainly local mental health crisis intervention teams have been on scene and have been here all of the day working and assisting and helping. I just want to make it very clear that there were 18 children who were pronounced dead at the scene. There were 2 children who were transported to area hospital and were pronounced dead at the hospital. There were 6 adults that were pronounced dead at the scene. And obviously the shooter was also pronounced dead at the scene. I don't have much more detail about that secondary scene, but there is a related scene that we discovered as we were continuing the criminal investigation, and specifically investigating the shooter. And you probably saw, and someone asked me on the way in here about the bomb squad. And yes, we brought all our assets in case they were needed. And when we went out with Newtown officers to search or to execute search warrants or to examine other possible secondary scenes, we took all those assets with us to ensure that they were right there immediately so that we could react if it was necessary. That's about all I have as far as details are concerned. I want to give you one more briefing, probably just before 6 o'clock. We'll try to get back up here for one more briefing. I'll take a couple brief questions, but I must, again, tell you that there are certain things we cannot discuss at this time. We'll take you right here, sir.
Do we have anyone who's in the hospital now that survived this?
No, sir. There was one person that was injured that suffered an injury and did survive, yes.
Can you confirm the body in the house is a male, an adult male?
I'm sorry, I can't confirm. I know about the secondary scene. I didn't have time to get into detail about that. I'll try to do that for 6 o'clock.
What about the shooter's identity? Adam Lanza, can you confirm?
I'm not going to confirm the identity of the shooter. We're not prepared to do that yet. So we have a tentative identification. We're still working with that. So we're not going to confirm the identity and put that out there. We will identify the shooter at an appropriate time. Just for our investigatory purposes, it's not appropriate to do that right now.
What do you say is happening in Hoboken, New Jersey, in terms of investigation there?
Again, it's part and parcel of what we do. I told you initially that we will leave no stone unturned as we're looking at every facet of this investigation. Whether it's the shooter, any of the victims, we're going to look at everything. And we certainly will go in and out of state, and we'll work with fellow law enforcement, including federal agencies if we need to answer every single question to exactly what transpired here. And it'll be a time-consuming process, but we'll get it done.
Where are the shooters now?
Right now, one shooter, yes, sir. It was K through 4, kindergarten through 4th grade. That's the school. They were all students of that school, sir. I don't know the grade they were in. I'm sorry, I don't know that.
One class, one section.
One section, 2 classrooms. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I didn't find that out. I'm sorry. Your question? No, everyone's been, and that's part of the process, and that's why it took us long to get here. That's a very good question. Are there any students that were unaccounted for? We had to ensure that we accounted for every single student in that school, and that includes maybe someone that was absent for the day because of illness and didn't come to school. So that was part of the process that we had to go through, and now we have the identification process, which is even more difficult. And so it's going to be some time before we're able to give you that information. It probably won't be available until sometime tomorrow.
Did you identify the weapon?
Did we identify a weapon? We have seized the weapon. Yes, we have, sir.
What kind of weapon?
We did not. We will not discuss that at this time, sir.
Still trying to reach parents at this time.
We've been in contact with all the parents. We would not come up here until we've been in contact with all the parents, and we've been communicating with them since they arrived here at the scene. They've been fully informed, and that's why it took so long for us to come up here. Go ahead.
How are the first responders dealing with all this? No one would ever expect to walk into a school and see those types of mass casualties.
That's it's a good question. Everyone believes that it's something that first responders do, that law enforcement does. But I can tell you, we provided counseling for the first responders because this was a very tragic, horrific scene that they encountered. It's not something that we want to see. It's not something that we see every day. So that's one thing that we have done, and the colonel has made that perfectly clear that those people are to be spoken to and receive crisis counseling as required.
Lieutenant, you probably you have to be the face here telling us what's happening, but Newtown is a very quiet, beautiful place, and I'm sure this is something that is not an ordinary thing that you deal with like big cities.
The lieutenant can certainly tell you he's a Newtown officer.
As authorities and
Sure.
as a person, to see this tragedy of this magnitude, how could you describe it has impacted you personally, not only as a law enforcement, but as a person and
as a person, the first thing I thought about was my own children.
Talk right in here.
Can you say your name, please?
Lieutenant George Cinco.
What's your name? What's your name, please?
Lieutenant George Cinco, Sinko.
Can you tell us, as a resident of Newtown and also as law enforcement, I'm sure you have to see the work that you have seen.
This is most definitely the worst thing that we've had experience here in town. Tragic. But right now, we're concerned about the families of the victims. Our officers are professional, and we will deal with this as well.
Can you describe the scene with the parents? Is there a place where people are getting together and are there counselors there for them? What's happening? What's the scene like?
The local hospital, Danbury Hospital, has offered their crisis intervention counselors. They will be available at Reed Intermediate School, which is on Wasserman Way, and they're available right now if need be, and they will be there all weekend.
Is there a place where parents are gathering? I mean, and what's that? Can you describe that?
The parents certainly have gathered at the local firehouse, which is adjacent to the school, and we've done our best to comfort them and try to reassure them that we've done everything we can. But as mentioned, it's a difficult process to confirm the status of an entire elementary school, and we need to be right when we do that.
Lieutenant, what is next? What is next?
We'll be working on safety training.
It's healing. We just have to think about the families right now and do everything we can for them.
Lieutenant, was one of the teachers killed? Was she mom?
We can't confirm any of that right now. The investigation is ongoing.
Are parents still at the firehouse right now?
There are still parents there, yes. I don't have a number for you. I don't have a number for you.
When did you realize you had this? What's the magnitude? How long did it take you to realize the magnitude?
Minutes after our officers were there, they realized, what a horrific scene we had there.
When you say minutes after they got there, officers went in, realized the gravity of what they were dealing with, and then called for backup, or they called for backup. Upon getting the 911 call, hearing what they've been talking with, what's the timeline on that?
I don't have the exact timeline on that. Certainly our officers responded immediately, and as soon as they realized what they had, we obviously asked for all the resources we could get. All right? Thank you. Anything, Paul?
Yeah, I think we're good. Let me just finish this. Let me just finish this. All right, what we're going to do is we'll come back about just before 6 o'clock, because I know a lot of you are around 6. We'll get back here with one more briefing. Then what we'll do is we'll schedule briefings probably tomorrow. So some of you folks look very tired. I'm sure you want to go get a little rest. So we're going to see if we can give you a schedule of briefings for tomorrow. Okay? Yeah. Where are you?
We're just out there a little bit.
All right, so there we have the latest information coming from the Connecticut State Police, from local law enforcement in Newtown, Connecticut. I'm Wolf Blitzer. We want to welcome back our viewers in the United States and around the world. We're watching what's going on from here in the Situation Room. It's breaking news. Unimaginable horror grips the nation in one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history. A tragedy so wrenching it reduced the President of the United States to tears. Right now, 27 people are confirmed dead in Connecticut's Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre. 20 children, 6 adults, and the alleged shooter. All of this happening within a matter of a few hours. Watch this, the sights and sounds of this tragedy as it played out.
When I was getting in my car, I heard sirens going off continuously. Car after car after car. Some of them were flying up past my house and coming back around again and going to the school. This house is 3 houses away from the school.
When we first arrived there was not a lot of security to guard, and there were 3 children that came out. One of them had a very bloody face.
We immediately jumped in the car and headed down here, so it's troubling. It was really kind of mayhem in the room with all the kids and the teachers, trying to find your kid, identify where yours is, making sure that they're safe, and then trying to find out what the situation was and make sure everybody else was safe. Started with the neighbors and then the rest of their friends in school and that sort of thing. So it's...
What did your son and daughter say to you when they first connected with you?
They were immediately crying, petrified of what happened and what did it mean. And I think they're both older than some of the other kids in the school, so understanding what happened. My son was in the gym when it happened, so I think that they heard the gunshots.
We saw police officers, and we heard them on the roof and in our building.
Did you hear any gunshots or anything like that?
Well, police officers, they were kinda, because there's police officers, right out the door, trying to find the guy.
It was shocking. I got the call at work this morning, and I can't believe a small town like this would ever have anything like this happen. And to be in an elementary school, that's unheard of.
Pre-K through
doesn't even seem real. It just does not seem like it's even possible. It's like you read it in the paper or see it in the news, you're like, oh my God, that poor family. And then you have something happen so close to home. It's like, I think I'm still in shock.
I can tell you that, first of all, obviously our hearts and prayers go out to the victims of this terrible incident. Very tragic. Our police are currently working closely with the Newtown Police Department. We have mutual aid agreements in place that allow us to provide assets that they may not have, along with the state police that have taken the lead on this investigation.
It was terrifying. I'm still terrified. I think I'm still in shock about it all.
Was everybody crying, scared, wanting their parents to come get them?
Yeah. They were, and then some people were even they kind of felt they got a stomach ache.
They wouldn't even let us in the building. All I can say is that one of the cops said it's, the worst thing he'd ever seen in his entire career. But it was when they told the parents, all these parents were waiting for their children to come out. They thought that they were, still alive. There's 20 parents that were just told that their children are dead. It was awful.
Awful. You can't even imagine how awful it must be for those parents, those loved ones, those family members in this small town in Newton, Connecticut, a town of under 2,000 people. This is a small elementary school, grades kindergarten through 4th grade. These are 5-year-olds through 10-year-olds, 20 of them gunned down by a killer today. 6 adults killed as well. Mary Snow is joining us now from outside the suspect's mother's home, we believe. Is that correct, Mary?
That is correct, Wolf. And we just left that location, but we've been there several hours throughout the afternoon. And the investigation stretched to that home, and it's being treated as a crime scene. We saw SWAT teams there, and we can tell you that residents near that home were told to evacuate earlier today. We've talked to one neighbor who said she was told at around 11 o'clock this morning by police to get out right away, and she still is out of her home, unable to get back into her house.